Welcome everybody. My name is Serdar from Neuromodulation, small company in Texas. We're specialized in neuromodulation technology research with the primary goal of accelerating medical research that targets unmet clinical needs. So, I'll talk some more about the company later, but our vision is to basically rapidly and affordably transform the healthcare industry so that the neuromodulation technology is the primary choice of therapy instead of pharmaceutical solutions. So that's basically the primary desire, primary goal of this company. So today's conversation is about healthcare challenges and novel ideas around neuromodulation to see if we can actually solve some of these fundamental issues that we face today in the healthcare industry. And most of these subjects that I talk about, these samples and statistics, are primarily applicable to the United States, but I'm sure they also apply to Turkey. So I don't think it's too far off. So I hope that it's going to be useful to this audience. Now, today I'm not going to talk about any specific technology or any specific product, because that's not the intention. The intention is to set the foundation of some basic definitions that relate to healthcare and define the problems as we see at LS Neuro, as what the healthcare problems are, and see if we can actually come up with some ideas collectively with this group, and especially with Boğaziçi University. So before I start, let's start. Okay, so how do I?
DRS.
Yeah. So let's define some fundamental concepts. So what is healthy? If you ask this question to many people in the United States, they define healthy as lack of diseases, lack of ailments. In fact, the World Health Organization defines healthy as complete status of physical, mental, and social well-being. So from that definition, this is a different definition than lack of diseases. And that's a fundamental concept that I want you to remember, please, throughout the presentation, because healthcare industry is built upon this definition. So how do we gauge health? How do we gauge healthy? The primary concept behind gauging health or healthy is a term called biomarkers. So what's a biomarker? The biomarker is a physiological, pathological, and anatomical indicator that's objectively measured and assessed to gauge the status of health. That's very important, because what happens is when you go to your physician, they draw blood, they talk to you, they ask you several questions, they take your EKG, and the whole 9 yards. And at the end of the diagnosis, they decide what to do with your state and what to do with your special case, and they either prescribe you medicine or they advise you to do certain things, don't do certain things. But if you look at this guy, if you look at what's happening, is like they're basically acting upon something that had happened in the past, because your blood chemistry and all that stuff is the result of your lifestyle. So can we also get a measure of real-time information? And with the advent of wearable devices and smart devices, especially smartphones and all that stuff, the apps, now we're able to look at the status of health also in real time. So these are primarily digital biomarkers, and you all know probably that you have a step counter, you have a calorie counter. So these are also providing us insight into our health. But overall, the traditional and digital biomarkers as a whole, they provide actionable information to us. What do I mean by actionable information? Is that by looking at these biomarkers, we can not only get a good idea as to where we are with respect to health, but also we may predict where we're going with it. So, but if you look at the entire biomarker collection and the processing of the biomarkers, they're all reactive. What I mean by that is you collect the biomarkers either in real time or using the traditional methods. Eventually, your physician makes a decision on certain precautions or certain remediation actions that are of reactive nature. So there's no prediction involved in that. So basically, if you're sick, they prescribe you a medicine. Whether this medicine is useful or not, it's a different discussion, but it's reactive. And that is the root cause of the problem in today's healthcare. And let me extend this a little further. So let me go back, first of all. So if you think that if you think about the reactive healthcare, there's a cost associated with it. So this means that you are either sick and you're living with the sickness, and you're going to a physician to make sure that your sickness gets remediated, but during the time, the goal is to make sure that your ailment doesn't get worse. But you're living with that condition. That condition can be a debilitating condition. That condition can be a chronic heart failure, for instance, or a chronic kidney failure, whatever. And you may be going to dialysis. So this basically has a cost on the human side, because living with a disease is not an easy thing. But on the economy, on the economical side, this is a burden for the entire society, to the entire healthcare industry, because a person living with a chronic disease has to spend money. Of course, they cannot work, so it takes a toll on the entire economy. So then they came up with this definition called the daily. Daily is disability adjusted life years. Well, basically, this is to quantify the human aspect of this question. What does it mean is the disability adjusted life years is the accumulation of two major numbers, two different gauges, so to speak. One of them is the years lost under disability, and flat out this number of years lost due to premature death. The total number is a daily. And the other interesting thing is that daily is the function of aging. So as you know, especially in the United States, the population is growing, but also the average age of the population is also growing. So it's basically growing exponentially, which means that the burden is growing exponentially. And this reflects itself as a financial burden on the entire economy. And that's a major problem, because if you predict the amount of, the percentage of people over a certain age relative to the total population, you see that the ratio is almost 10% today, and getting close to maybe 15 to 16% in a few decades. And this is a growing problem, and this needs to be fixed. Now, how does it need to be fixed? But before we even get into the fixing situation, let's look at the financial burden. I'm not going to bore you with these numbers. You can read them on your own, and this presentation will probably be available to everybody. But the problem is, as the population ages and as these chronic diseases take their toll on the economy, there's a need for immediate action, because things cannot be changed overnight. But something needs to be changed, something needs to be fixed. Before we can fix something, we have to identify a method of what to fix, right? So you cannot just jump the gun and do something. It may not be the biggest bang for the buck. So what's the lowest hanging fruit? Or where are the low hanging fruits? So interesting enough, the help comes to us from the 19th century. There was an Italian economist by the name Pareto. This Pareto is, it's a Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. So if you look at the 80-20 rule, of the diseases that are providing the highest, causing the highest burden on the economy, you realize that as the population ages, certain diseases pop up in the list. So if you look at the right circle, that's the age-related diseases, and the pink side, I don't know if it shows pink yet, pink purple, is the cardiovascular problems. So that includes heart failure, that includes hypertension, that includes stroke, all kinds of things related to cardiovascular system. The second most is the blue-green one, which is cancer. But if you also compare these two circles, which is the left side is the non-age-related one, the right side is the age-related one, you still see that there are a lot of prevalent diseases. Like, you cannot just ignore them. So out of these two circles, we may be able to extract a small number of diseases and basically attack those diseases first and hope that the top 20 diseases will impact or will help us fix 80% of the problem. It's just all good. And in fact, this analysis has been made. And by the way, these statistics on the presentation now is from 2017, and this is a global problem. This is not the United States. This is the entire globe. So, using this methodology, we looked at the situation and identified these diseases. So these are the top 20 diseases. At least that's what we claim to have found. As the population ages, these diseases basically become the most problem diseases in the world, in the globe. So, so if you look at these ones, these are also very, very critical and hard to treat ailments. And something has to be done. And we cannot just simply find a cure for these diseases. We cannot just erase them. So what can be done? Especially in the United States, the insurance companies as the biggest drivers behind cost reduction, and of course the pharmaceuticals or the like, they try to reduce the cost by trying to improve efficiency of operation. Now, unfortunately, efficiency is easy to say but hard to implement, because most of the cases while they're trying to improve the efficiency, you see a lot of shortcuts towards the target, and that impacts the quality. So, for instance, they reduce the number of hospital personnel. They reduce the types of medications that they pay. So, if you have a health insurance, for instance, and your physician prescribes it to you, but when you go to buy it, they say, well, okay, out of pocket, no problem, but the insurance doesn't pay for it. So as a result of it, the quality of healthcare drops, or has dropped significantly. Now, in 1990, I remember my daughter was born, and I had health insurance. I didn't pay any money. The company was paying for it, and hospital care was superb. Everything was fine. I mean, everything happened as like, I didn't even think about anything. I mean, everything was being filed to the insurance company automatically. That was 1990. And back then, the US healthcare system was ranking number 6 with respect to quality and access. Now today, US is ranking 37. And not only that, but I have health insurance in the United States. I'm paying $1,200, $1,200 every month. And that's for a very, very nice insurance with $5,000 deductible, which means that I have to pay out of pocket until I reach the $5,000, and then the insurance, if they feel like it, they may pay a certain percentage of further expenses. Now, I'm not even talking about the medications. The medications are out of pocket still. So, basically, if you're not healthy in the United States, if you have health insurance, you not only pay this $1,200, and by the way, this $1,200 is not the top. If I buy the best insurance, it can go up to like $4,000 a month. Then in that case, then your deductible will probably be like $500 rather than $5,000. But at the end of the day, per family expenses in the United States can be as high as $20,000 to $25,000 every year. And that's a very, very low quality of insurance. So the bottom line is that the precautions that we're taking today are not helping, is not working. So something else must be done. So thank God there is a concept called P4 medicine. P4 is like predictive, preventive, personalized, and participatory. So this is a concept, this is not new. this P4 concept was around in the past 20, 25 years. I still remember that. But maybe until maybe 10, 15 years ago, nobody even paid attention to it because nobody had the problem. But at least the problem was not as visible as today. So people didn't pay attention. But in the last few years, this is now gaining momentum. And the main claim of this P4 medicine has three main pillars. One of them is P4 medicine claims to approach diseases in a systemic way, which means that they're not focusing on the symptoms, but they're focusing on the root causes on a level, on an organ level, cellular level, or molecular level. So these are important. This is an important aspect. This is an important concept. The reason is that this way, by approaching a disease in a systemic manner, then you're able to find the root cause and attacking the root cause. So at least if a disease has already started, then you can stop or at least slow down progression. That's very important. The second thing is the personalized aspect of it. So diseases can now be attacked from a genetic perspective. So if there's a genetic screening, they may be able to identify that a certain person is prone to a certain specific disease, like for instance breast cancer. Then precautions can be taken in advance, and as such, some fatal conditions, so from lethal diseases, can be at least prevented by proactive measures. So sometimes I see like women undergoing mastectomy, I guess that's the right term, yes. To prevent breast cancer. The other thing is, important thing is participatory, which means that because of these wearable devices and smartphones and all that stuff, now patients are, or at least people are being given insights or actionable insight into their own health, so they can make a decision on their lifestyles and improve their lifestyles, and this way reduce the chance of getting a disease. For instance, you count your calories so you don't eat certain things in excess, and hopefully you don't develop a cardiovascular problem. But that's basically the participatory aspect of it. And the third one is important because that's relying on the digital networking. It's funny because, as you know, the 5G networks, it's basically being introduced to Turkey also, and it's been in service in the United States for quite some time. 5G came to being to address the needs of general consumers, especially online gaming, watching movies on your high definition movies on your cell phones and all that stuff, or providing means for high definition video conferencing, for instance, online. So this was the main reason why 5G came to be, because the 4G LTE, or in Turkey it's like 4.5, was not sufficiently fast enough to take care of those kind of applications. But the thing is that 5G is a completely different network or different concept. It's not like 4G LTE. Because 4G LTE, you know, LTE means long-term evolution. 4G came to being, they think that technology will evolve and 4G will advance and catch up with the needs. But we came to a certain point that we hit a road, we hit a wall on the 4G. And 5G is not an evolved version of 4G. It's not. It's a completely different paradigm. So as a result, 5G has been introduced, but the 5G, the people who brought in 5G, they finally realized that it has much better uses than general consumers. Because of the speed, is like maybe 100 to 1,000 times faster, and also it's low latency, so low delay. As a result, the applications can be much better suited to new applications such as autonomous driving, such as managing smart cities, but most importantly, it's very well suited for remote healthcare. So as a result, 5G, when the 5G comes in, I will not be surprised in like maybe 5-10 years from now, a doctor will operate on somebody in a remote part of Turkey from Istanbul through remote robotics, remote monitoring, remote viewing. So 5G is a major catalyst in healthcare. And another aspect of it is that if you look at the 5G network, the one that I circled in red, 5G is probably the first technology that actually relies on itself to proliferate itself. So in other words, like in the foreseeable future, don't be surprised if your cell phone, 5G-enabled cell phone, will be a cell provider, cell tower, so to speak, to the person right next to you. So this basically means that 5G will be ubiquitous. It will be all over the place, and as a result of it, a very simple device, a very simple computing device. I don't know if you're familiar with Raspberry Pi or BeagleBone Black, something very simple there. This can actually be connected. This can be connected to the cloud through 5G, and with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning, a simple device like that will be able to do certain tasks that otherwise would require a room full of supercomputers. So this actually gives us a huge opportunity for us to introduce intelligence into medical devices in the future, in the very near future. So the 4G medicine, with the help of 5G, will be able to tackle problems that we cannot even imagine. We couldn't even imagine 2-3 years ago. So, but is 4G a perfect solution? Well, somebody may say yes, somebody may say no, but this is my opinion. Look at these artificial intelligence-driven biomarkers that P4 uses. By the way, P4 is heavily relying on digital biomarkers or the traditional biomarkers. But if you look at this chart, if you look at this list, the ones that are circled in red are chemicals, either in blood chemistry or something that's pharmaceutical of nature. So P4 still relies on pharmaceuticals and chemical analysis, and as a result of it, and also from the traditionally, all the big names that are associated with their names with P4, like Roche, like Eli Lilly, like Pfizer, they're using P4 to come up with new drugs, new pharmaceuticals. Granted, they will be better targeted, they will be personalized, but still, it is still the same old, same little modified version of the same. Okay, so then, is this sufficient? Now, this is my opinion, or this is our opinion at Lone Star, but this is not sufficient. And the reason is very simple. Because if you rely on the pharmaceuticals, and again, this is my view, pharmaceuticals have side effects, or pharmaceuticals are not necessarily attacking the root cause of the situation. The body is not a very simple machine. The body, like a certain specific hormone or certain specific chemical gets produced in multiple locations in our body. So if you block one, it may not necessarily solve the problem once and for all. So like as an example, I'm just picking an example, nothing else. Like let's look at heart failure. How does the heart failure work? I'm not a doctor, this is what I read. They said if there's an insult to heart tissue, if the heart tissue gets damaged, some, a mild heart attack or whatever, then the body is triggered to release a substance called the renin in the kidneys. I think that's called a juxtaglomerular group of cells in the kidney. Yeah. So when renin gets released, renin itself releases angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 gets converted into angiotensin 2 in the lungs by an enzyme. It's called the angiotensin conversion enzyme, converting enzyme. This angiotensin 2 is a very, very strong vasoconstrictor. So basically dilates the arteries. But I'm sorry?
Constricts.
Yeah, it does not dilate, sorry. Yeah, constricts the arteries. Now, also angiotensin 2 also triggers aldosterone, right? Aldosterone. Aldosterone is something that tells the kidneys to retain water and salt. Now, what does it mean? Now, the body is trying to retain more blood. And not only the constriction of the arteries increases the blood pressure, but the additional blood volume further increases the blood pressure. Now the heart is already weak. Now the heart is trying to pump this thing to the brain. So if you look at this guy, it's almost like the same reaction that the body takes when there's heavy bleeding in the body. Because the first reaction is the body restricts the blood flow to the kidneys, and this reaction happens. So it's a runaway condition. So heart failure is a runaway condition. So eventually it causes the person to die because the heart cannot keep up with this thing. So the problem is, the solution to that is, I found a picture of a medication. It's called, I guess, Benazepro. I don't know if it's the right pronunciation, but it's basically an ACE blocker. So if the patient takes this one, angiotensin 2 goes down for a while, because angiotensin 2 gets produced elsewhere in the body. The body says, "Oop, I need angiotensin," so it produces more of it. And guess what? The drug is, in a while, becomes ineffective. And death is inevitable. So this is one example why I believe pharmaceutical solutions may not be sufficient for every case. Well, the other thing is, like, another example is, is there an alternative, an electrical alternative for remediating a body problem? Now, I found this example. There's a company who's doing transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation. So their intention is that they actually had a clinical study on a group, basically double-blind study of people over 55 years old. They found volunteers, and they actually did a vagus nerve stimulation on the neck using transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation. And their intention was to balance the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. The reason for that is, as we age, the thing that calms our bodies down, parasympathetic system slows down, but the sympathetic system accelerates. So this unbalance causes us to have diabetes, our moods are not as good, we lose sleep, and all kinds of ailments that come with age. So their intention was to balance this with the vagus stimulation. And what they found is that these people, the volunteers, have better reflex. So the thing that controls the the heart rate and the hypertension or the body blood pressure gets improved. So they conclude that the daily stimulation of the vagus nerve improves health. So this is an example as to how to remediate certain conditions using electrical stimulation. This is also another example. There's no one size fits all. So obviously this is just one example. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it the primary outcome of that study, or was it just the secondary? Did they find it by chance?
Primary outcome, and the link is there. Please see the paper. So what I'm going with this one is this. How do we, based on these two examples, what should we do? What comes to our mind? So this is the Lucas Neuro dream. So we believe that human bodies our bodies, either humans or animals, we're electrical machines. We're not chemical machines. So the body communicates with electricity. So as a result of it, we believe that there should be a way to reset our bodies, or to I would say, I don't know what's the right term for that, but there should be a way to return to our origins by using electrical stimulation or therapies of electrical nature. So this is just a bold statement. It may or may not be true, but this is just a dream or starting point. So as a result, we propose a different type of medicine. Instead of P4 medicine, we say P5 medicine. What's P5? We're adding just one more word to it. If you look at the last sentence, it says purging. So if we can adopt the P4 as our basis and find a way to eradicate diseases, we can actually call this P5 medicine. So how do you do that? How should we do that? In an ideal world, I'm not saying this can be possible. In an ideal world, what we can do is we can establish a baseline. So first of all, what we call is healthy. Let's just say have a group of people, I don't know, thousands of people, whatever, and monitor their neural activities. Just record them. whatever it is. And using that recording, say that this is a baseline for healthy, and within this group, if during this period that we observe this neural signals, if anybody develops a debilitating condition, an ailment of any sort, anything, then whatever has changed in the neural signaling during that progression, make a note of it. And then just continues to investigate these people, and anybody who develops this condition, same neural variation, deviation, so to speak. Make an electrical stimulation to restore that signal and see if the same ailment comes up. Yes or no? I don't know. But the thing is that in time, by doing an intelligence study, we suspect that we may be able to find a map between deviating neural signals and ailments, and we should be able to find a way to restore those signals and prevent those diseases. This is just a theory. Nothing has been done, nothing has been proven. So how do we do that? So a very brief introduction to what we did in Lone Star Neuromodulation. This is just a block diagram. This is a neuromodulation platform that we developed. This is completely, fully programmable, completely discrete, one of a kind in the world. Nobody has, at least to my knowledge, there's no like device. And it has design hooks for monitoring signals. So in other words, if you look at the device today, it's a very simple thing about that size. It has the design hooks, but the sensors have not been attached to it yet. And there's a reason for that, because by looking forward, we suspect that we will need something based on what I just said a few minutes ago. So we don't need to get into too much detail on that one. And feel free to talk to me after this so I can describe exactly what each block is doing. This is not rocket science. This is a very simple device. Trust me on that. So how can we use this device towards peak fight? So this is just a very simple block diagram. And I call this a reset button for humans. And I call humans Internet of Living Things. So we introduced the concept of Internet of Living Things. If you watch Star Trek, we're basically aiming to create the first Borg. I don't know if you watch Star Trek. Probably nobody, right?
Maybe not the youngsters.
Yeah, so Borg is basically a species that lives in the gamma quadrant of the galaxy, and they're completely biomachines, biological entities with implants. So, of course, not to that extreme, but if we can create this Internet of Living Things, and if we can metaphorically introduce this reset button for humans, we can eradicate at least the major debilitating or fatal conditions. So this is basically our goal, our dream. So I'm not a physician, I'm not a biologist, I'm just an engineer who can design devices like that I just showed. So my call for action for this group is, what is it that we can observe based on your best knowledge that we can trigger this notion together? So this is what I have today. That's it. I mean, the rest of the presentation, I'd like to open it to general public and maybe brainstorm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So it's, I guess, discussion time. We have time left by our speaker about things. Any questions pop up from the audience? Questions?
Maybe can we get some more information about this neuromodulation platform?
Okay.
Like the basics, is it going to be like an FPGA, something, you know?
So this neuromodulation platform is a completely discrete device with two microcontrollers, medical grade microcontrollers, especially no ASICs, because our claim of fame is our neuromodulation platform is indication agnostic, completely generic and totally programmable, that can be adapted for any indication you can imagine, anything that exists or not even invented yet. As long as it's neuromodulation, this can get the job done with 16 electrodes, constant current, constant voltage, per mix, and programmable amplitude, programmable pulse width, and programmable frequency from literally from DC to 47 kilohertz. This is the platform, and that exists. So if you go to lsneuro.com, you will see that.
Is there any biofeedback lamp?
Biofeedback is in these designers. So the device has inputs because we don't know what to monitor. So that's why I'm asking, what should we monitor? Also, this device is capable of connecting to the internet. Today, not with BLE, not with Bluetooth, but we have a far field radio, and that can actually translate. It's like med radio mixband. And we can connect to the cloud, and we can actually take advantage of cloud computing maybe by accessing Amazon Web Services, for instance. So today we can do whatever you can imagine this can do.
Go ahead.
Isn't that going to bring any cybersecurity issue? Because if there's a lot of attention.
Cybersecurity is like, there's an FDA mandate. There's actually a FDA mandate on cybersecurity. As long as we can access to AWS, AWS is completely cyber secure. Proof is in the pudding. CIA is using AWS.
AW.
Amazon Web Services.
Oh.
CIA is currently using.
Go ahead.
Is this project aimed toward the central nervous system and brain, or just the connection of the brain with the whole body?
It can be used anywhere because it all depends on the electrodes that you use. You can use a deep brain electrode, you can use a cuff electrode, you can use a spinal cord stimulation electrode. Imagination is the limit.
But you have, I'm sorry, the output is 16, but input is how many?
Processor has multiple inputs. You tell me and I can expand it by using it. I don't expand it.
Okay, but then the original input signal conditioning or input
But this
signal
one,
analysis.
as it stands, it does not have any inputs. It's basically pre-programmed. So you actually say, I program it through the wireless controller. You say, I want to apply, I'm just making this up, 4.3 milliamps between electrode 1 and 5. Here's the amplitude, here's the pulse rate, here's the pulse rate. That's
So it's on the more programmable on the stimulations.
programmable on the stimulation side, but there's no limit. You can program it for any other thing.
Go ahead.
There are tens for muscle stimulators, multiple channel. So what is value proposition here? Multiple, more channel, or programmability, or how you position it? How you differentiate it?
First of all, there are two standards in the industry. ISO 60601-1. That's the implantable. ISO 60601-2 is TENS, muscle stimulators. So there are two different standards. One of them is more strict. This is on the more strict side. And with respect to programmability, you can use it as a TENS unit. There's no limit. But you cannot use a TENS unit for implant. So that's the distinction. Other than that, principle is the same. And the only distinction is the safety aspect. Safety and efficacy aspect. There's no other difference.
You mentioned about opioid crisis in US.
Yeah.
So there is a discussion about this pain reliever and other medicine.
Right.
So what's your claim for it? So you
Well, this can be used for opioid addiction. In fact, we started this project in 2000. We established Lone Star Neuromodulation to combat opioid addiction. And the reason is this. Now, opioid addiction is this. In the United States, medical devices for pain management are prescribed as the last resort. As the second defense, if not the last resort. That's how the Medicare defines it. So in other words, this is not the first choice, but that's, in my opinion, that's not right. And the whole idea behind that is the pharmaceutical industry, because that's their mandate, that they're trying to sell the medications first. Unfortunately, for pain management, the primary line of defense is opioids. And that causes addiction, and you have to increase the dose constantly until these people become opioid addicted.
Yeah.
To be able to withdraw this, if you can start from this as the first line of defense, right, that you don't need to resort to opioid addiction. The other thing is that opioid addiction is not necessary for pain management. Some babies are born with opioid addiction because their mothers are drug addicts. So when the baby was born, the baby is already opioid addicted. So to withdraw this, you cannot just, you cannot give a baby a medication. So there's basically a trigeminal nerve stimulator that goes here in the ear. It says external, it's transcutaneous. And the basic operational principle is the same. You just provide mild electric pulses, and that actually releases endorphins in the body. So that's basically how the baby gets adjusted to lack of opioid until the baby grows to a certain age, and then they don't need to worry about the stigma.
Any further questions? Go ahead.
What about the, like, you mentioned?
Go ahead.
You mentioned the endorphin release at the babies.
I'm sorry?
So you have mentioned the endorphin release at the babies with opioid, opioid intoxication. So what if the down-regulation of the endorphins in the baby's body will occur? Like, what if the, what if endorphin receptor down-regulation will happen in a baby? Like,
Well, I don't know the results of the medical study. I mean, I'm not.
after the stimulation.
Yeah, I don't know the details of the medical study. Spark Bioelectronics, there's a company. They're on the fast path of approval by the FDA because of the intended patient population of babies, so it has the highest priority. But I don't know about their clinical studies. I'm only focused on the device aspect.
Okay, it's not your main.
No.
Okay.
But
I'm not a biologist.
But in theory, I mean, for pleasure sense and putting pleasure sensation, whether it comes from the pharmaceutical intake or electrical intake, both can be addictive intake, right? And there are many animal studies where animals learn to press levers to stimulate their certain regions in the brain, and they become addicted to electrical stimulation, right? But you essentially claim more than that, right? It is not necessarily.
What I'm claiming is this. I'm not claiming you need therapy. What I'm saying is, whatever the investigation, medical research is, whatever the medical research is, this device is capable of providing those mild electrical pulses. So I'm not focusing on the reason, but the primary purpose of why we started flow star neuromodulation was to use electrical nerve stimulation for pain management rather than opioids,
Right.
rather than pharmaceuticals.
Which is eventually unprovoked. Then it has, you stop that, you cannot stop that.
You cannot stop
And then
opioids.
there
You
will be
can't.
an electrical, you click, go.
This is not addicting. Opioids are addicting.
Okay. Go ahead, go.
Thank you for the presentation. It's a great vision.
Thank you.
In your device can be applied for various areas.
Yes.
So we already talked to you on the phone and Kandilli from Boğaziçi.
Sure, please.
So yeah, I would like to ask you that, have you ever applied your device on human subjects or animal subjects
No.
before?
Because the thing is that Lone Star Neuromodulation is a technology company. We're not a medical device company. In the United States, if you claim that you're a medical device company, then you have to be registered with FDA and you get audited. Our technology is something that can be adopted by any company who claims to be a medical device producer. This is a technology, this is not a device. So very, very big distinction.
So there is not a proposed indication for use.
No, this is completely indication agnostic by purpose.
Okay. In terms of the target, like technology, I think one of the most obvious cases are that's the psychiatric diseases, because there is a new pandemic of psychiatric diseases in the world, right? Like depression, variety of additional things that are stress, some psychosis.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of then, for those particular cases, I mean, although the technology is promising, there seems to be a difficulty of testing the ideas, because having animal models of psychiatric diseases is tough in every scale. And for getting the input side, right, is also challenging, right? Because we have to observe exploratory from various possible candidate locations. We cannot observe from every nerve cell, which is billion, right? We have to pick and choose. So, I mean, eventually there seems to be the stimulation. Also, there seems to be a significant amount of work that needs to be done for the psychiatric case, right? Are there any companies or like researchers interested on those aspects? Or?
Well, for the simulation for the treatment options, I know that there are a bunch of companies, but they're doing this by still by the feedback from the patients.
Right.
So in other words, CoStar's vision is to find a neural path that actually can provide me objective evidence or actionable information rather than just somebody's opinion. Like for instance, today spinal cord stimulation for pain management. If you ever observed an operation,
Or delivery?
what they do is that they put the spinal cord leads into the spinal cord, into the epidural area, and the patient is half awake. And they activate the device and they recruit the nerves, and the pain areas become tingly. We call it paresthesia. So we ask the patient, what do you feel? Pain? And the patient is barely awake, and you rely on that information that you recruited the right nerve, for instance. So this has been an ongoing debate. Is there a way to monitor pain objectively rather than asking for a patient? So today, that's still an ongoing investigation, and I don't think any company has been successful yet in terms of observing what pain means, because they're still using the same nerve bodies. I mean, when you recruit the nerve, you don't know exactly what is coming back. So that's the problem.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Turkish also possible? If
Yeah,
there, we can
Turkish is
translate it.
Turkish is fine.
What are the main difference between your technology and Neuralink?
Your competitor.
Neuralink, who's Neuralink?
Neuralink is
The new
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk
Elon
just
Musk,
I don't know
presented.
what-
Well,
I
we
mean,
published a paper.
They are completely different, right? One of them,
If there are any comment on that,
yeah, the Neuralink one, they're trying to record, not stimulate the brain, the central nervous system, but this one is completely different than that.
Yeah.
Stimulation is a different device.
that's more flexible, high-level recording, right?
Yes, yeah. They're trying to do brain-machine interface with, thousands of electrodes, and they sew it to maybe individual neurons with their different
Is this like on the,
It's like electrical.
on the brain?
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
brain,
on
on
the
the cortex, I think.
On the cortex.
Yeah.
So it's
Or
invasive,
deep brain.
so it's invasive.
Invasive.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But eventually the stimulation is also on the central nervous system, spinal cord, or peripheral nerve. It doesn't matter for the device, right?
Yes, this is completely agnostic.
Because it's range of modulation
Exactly.
capabilities on the amplitude.
But on the deep brain, you probably use like one or two electrodes,
Right.
one electrode, one return. In the spinal cord, you have to use multiple, so you can recruit the right nerves. Or
Okay,
the ganglia, you just put it on the ganglia.
okay. Any other questions that you want to ask to the audience in terms of devices? Go ahead.
Traditional medicine, Chinese people, they claim that ear could be test point of the body and also treatment point of the body. So do you think that ear could be a point to start for your device?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have the knowledge, that's the question I'm asking.
Okay.
I wish I knew.
Modern acupuncture.
Yeah,
Like they have also some electrical needles, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure whether anybody in Turkey is practicing or not. I'm not familiar with that, right?
but trust me, if I were 20 years old, I would start the medical school just because of this reason.
Yeah. They claim that ear shape, like a baby on the mother, so it could be a test and treatment point. So you have enough channels, so it
Well,
will
we
be.
can increase the number of channels. Channels this 16 is an artificial limitation. I mean, you can do 32 electrodes if you want, or more than that.
I was going to ask the same question. What is the benefit of having multiple electrodes on the brain?
Insurance companies can charge more. No joke, this is the reason. All you need is 4 electrodes.
Because you're basically generating a field, that's it.
Exactly. So that's only for insurance purposes.
I mean, it's an electrical feedback simulation. If it's direct nerve stimulation.
But you can actually recruit any nerve by 4 electrodes. So basically, anaerobic, cathodic, and then you can actually change the amplitude, you can actually steer the current. So 4 is sufficient, but if you have multiple places in your body If
Right.
you need to recruit a group of 4, then 8. 16 is still not needed, but like if you look at the Boston Scientific, there are 32 needs. Useless, in my opinion.
Okay.
For the DBS system, right?
DBS requires only 3, maybe 4.
Okay.
For deep brain is one application. So so you started with all these Internet of Things and 5G. So maybe a little bit more description about how this thing eventually complements, or the 5G complements this technology. I can see the processing power needs for the sensing side,
But also,
but not on the stimulation side. Eventually, the output is only 16, so you don't need probably 5G.
that's not necessarily true if you're dealing with a real-time situation. Like
Okay.
if you're getting feedback in real time and you're stimulating by doing the number crunching in between, you need a low latency connection channel. 4G is not fast enough. 5G is.
Okay.
That's why 5G. And you need to supercomputing because artificial intelligence requires supercomputing to do the number crunching fast enough. So otherwise, we can do it on the onboard processors. Like those processors are not powerful enough for, like, for instance, a digital signal processing to extract artifacts of your stimulation. But if you're looking for evoked potentials, for instance, that's
Okay.
not sufficient.
Okay. Any other questions we have? I mean, we can finish it here. Maybe except the battery power. I mean, that seems to be also a big limitation, right? Because of electrical impulses going in, wireless communications, and having to have a battery there, it seems to be a lot of difficulty, right?
Yes. Those are devices, a 500 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery, which is rechargeable. We use strongly coupled magnetic resonance for long distance or long proximity charging. But you can use a primary cell, and also this device, our device, has been designed to operate out of external RF power. If your battery is not there, if your battery is depleted, you can still wear a belt and power it from outside.
Oh, I see.
It's using this CMR,
But
strongly
the
coupled magnetic resonance.
development system comes automatically with wireless charging.
It is.
I see. And wireless operation.
Yeah.
I see, I didn't realize. Okay.
Can I ask you another question? I promise it's going to be the last.
No, please.
What about the standards? I'm pretty sure you comply with 60601, but in terms of software,
This has been designed completely for the standards. Like the primary one is 60601-1 and also -2-16, 14971 for safety, 14708 for implantable devices, 62304 software lifecycle management.
What about the battery? Is it UL16 for the 2 compliant, or is it just full compliance to the
Well,
606?
first of all, battery, this battery is specialized battery for medical applications, so it's leak proof and all that stuff. And that's one of the reasons why device is class 3, not class 2. And also,
Class 2 device.
yeah, one thing.
But actually, it can be a class 2 device too, if it's not going to be used as an implanted device. It all depends on the proposed indication of
Yeah,
indication
if
for
the
it.
battery goes into somebody's body, that device is class 3.
That's right.
Promise.
That's right. That's what I'm trying to say. If you're not going to implant it, the device might be a class 2 device.
Might
Two-
be, but
two A.
not there's no guarantee. There's things that the risks involved are the primary determining factor. Now, this device is not life-sustaining. By definition, it's not class 3. But at the same time, if you go with class 3 and design it as class 3, you will have a better chance of getting it approved for PMA. Otherwise, you may struggle.
Okay, 2 more questions. Go ahead.
Your technology is fully invasive right now.
I'm sorry?
Your technology is invasive right now. So can you transform it to the minimally invasive or non-invasive?
Well, this technology is not invasive nor non-invasive. It's not a medical application. It's a technology.
Yeah, I mean,
It all depends on the application.
So that could be applications.
This could be a TENS unit.
External.
Then you're bound by 60601-2, that's it.
In future, you may sell it at Walgreens or in CVS.
Well, if you take this device, create a TENS, you can sell it at Walgreens.
I didn't know you can get
You
devices of
can.
that.
I bought it.
No, you can, of course, I have attention.
TENS muscle stimulator and TENS devices have been commodity,
They're off the shelf.
Okay.
I have.
generic
All you need
devices.
to do is just register it through the FDA's website.
But it's still a medical device, right?
It's a medical device.
Yes.
It's strange.
So it's can be. I don't think you can do it in Turkey, can you?
You can.
In Karagül, Chapa, it is
You
available.
can go
TENS,
there.
and without prescription, you can buy it. So muscle stimulator, muscle strengthening. You can
Kind
use
of
it.
stuff.
Yeah, in the US also, I bought it without a prescription.
Was there a
I'm very curious about your business model. I mean, you're not a medical company, yet you call yourself Neuromodulation.
Yes.
I mean, how does
This
does
is
it
a
work?
technology
And,
company that produces neuromodulation, neuromodulation technologies.
and
You take this technology and
who you sell this to?
B2B?
to companies who want to develop medical devices. This accelerates the R&D cycle from literally from 2 years to 2 years.
Or for research?
Yeah, to universities.
Or if you want to utilize these and play around with animal research or some other
Yeah.
Stuff, then you buy these devices and you don't have to buy the expensive ones.
So the
I
whole
think
idea-
the whole idea is also democratizing, right? Of this
Exactly,
technology.
because
It's like the medical device development technology. That democratization is the key. Otherwise, these type of invasive implantable devices is only restricted to a handful of companies.
Yeah, I mean, some companies, they develop their own stuff because they need a purpose-built device, right? They can do it, they take 2 years, and roughly, and in the US numbers, I mean, by US numbers, like $10 to $50 million to develop a technology like that. Instead, they buy the technology, they license the technology, and then they proceed. And if there's a change in their investigation, in their research, like say, okay, they change their mind. Since there's no ASIC, they just reprogram it, that's it, they're done. So there's no reset, there's no go back to the beginning.
But it's one of those things whether how would this programmable devices eventually be approved for a
Yeah.
certain specific application, reimbursed, that's a problem for the future, for the medical device company.
This is not a medical company, it's a technology company.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.